ya la cámara que había que crear es aquella, ¿no?
Sí.
Un ceppo. Ah no, sì, sì. Mia moglie.
Sì, 1, 2, 3.
Suona, dietro è silenzioso.
Devi fare l'acqua, lo Finsa.
C'è un manantiale naturale di un amico mio che vicino a una fabbrica nostra a Zaragoza.
¿Estás de coña o qué?
Se llama Magari. ¿Qué?
Ah, que pensaba que te agua.
No. Agua de Brochales.
Ah, sí.
Pues es de un amigo mío de Barcelona, de Sergio, Sergio Castelló. Y la fábrica de Finsa de Cella está a 20 minutos.
Oye, ¿hay una fábrica en Cuenca, Teruel o algo?
¿En Cuenca?
¿Vosotros tenéis algo?
Sí, aquí al lado, es decir, en Cella, Teruel.
Vale, es que quien me escribía desde allí, ¿puede ser? La persona que se encarga de los viajes.
Sí, porque hay una deslocalizada y la otra social.
¿Son los tres solos?
Sí.
Vale, ¿vienes para mí hacer una foto?
¿Decimos patata o...?
¿Cuánto para sacar?
Vamos a quitamos ordenadores si quieres. ¿Cómo sabemos que se nos oye? How do we know if they are listening to us? Is it working? Is it working right now? Okay. So whenever you like it. Let's wait for 1 minute. Está aquí.
Una camioneta con...
Ok, quando volete siamo live.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon everybody and welcome to this roundtable. First of all, let me start expressing my gratitude to Finsa for the invite to moderate this event, to our speakers for sharing with us their time and their knowledge, and finally to the public for their patience and comprehension. Okay? Today we will talk about the connections between architects, interior designers and industrial designers. We'll see how BIM and other technologies can help in collaborative projects, and finally we'll put the focus on how considering a long-term supply chain and using smart contracts as a base of the whole relationship can contribute to the final success of a project. Jose and Andrea will talk about all these subjects through their projects and activities, so I will start by introducing them and then I'll give the floor so that they can explain using their own projects of all these subjects. Okay, I'll start by Jose Aguilar, architect by the University of North London, has various masters on bioclimatic architecture by ETSA Madrid, MBA by Comercial Bilbao, and business in architecture and build tech by IE University Madrid. He defines himself as a developer and integrator of creative solutions in the real estate and industrialization sectors within environmental and digitalized architecture. Jose has co-directed his own studio of architecture at BAR for the last 16 years, specializing in residential, hotel and accessible and flex living. Before that, he took part in some very interesting infrastructure projects like the T4 in Madrid, King Cross London, and the urban regeneration of Bilbao and Bordeaux. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you.
Now it's the turn for Andrea, being in Milan, how to introduce him without saying words said 1,000 times before. Anyway, I see how to, if I manage to do it by myself. Andrea is an international design pioneer, founder and director of Metrogramma for the last 20 years. Andrea holds a PhD in urban design from the Institute of Indie Architecture in Venice. After lots of collaboration with prestigious firms inside and outside Italy, he founded his own studio where he is responsible for the design of prestigious architectural and urban planning projects in Italy and abroad. Without further ado, I give the floor first to Jose Aguilar and then to Andrea so that they can help us to understand the projects.
Okay. Well, thank you. Buonasera. Good afternoon. I'll introduce my project, Petit Village, which was a competition that we won for a competition called Reinventing Cities. Reinventing Cities is a competition that is international. It's 98 cities for the climate change. Okay, there are cities all over the world that put together specific sites where they want to have a common ground where they put toe to toe or head to head developers, architects, the industry for bringing new ideas into specific parts of the city. This started for a competition called Reinventing Paris, where in the roundabouts of Paris, they were proposing specific areas where we all need urban regeneration, and they were asked to put an idea where how to use parts of the city which were having a very difficult solution. Okay, so what Reinventing City asked us was to give answer to 10 different challenges. Okay, excuse me, this is in Spanish, but the above all was a CO2 reduction emission by having an energy efficiency, by evaluating the cycle of life, sustainable mobility, resilience and adaptability to climate change, giving ecological services to the neighborhood, and then sustainable use of the water, of the different the biodiversity and the vegetation of the city, and different actions, social actions, and architecture that was innovative. Okay, so with these 10 different challenges, we confronted a competition which was a two-phase competition. The first part we did it with, we right from the beginning we thought of Finsa because of their method of construction on CLT, and we also asked different people like Locare, which is a developer, and Tectum, which is an investor, a fund. Okay. Beyond that, we had very clear understanding that it had to be a collaborative project, and of course the use of BIM, the use of planning and so on was going to be taken into the consideration. ACR is a Spanish construction company which is very much specialized on industrialized construction. Okay. Okay, so if we speak about the site where we had this competition, this is right by the Madrid airport, T1 terminal. It's a very industrialized area, and this was a workers' neighborhood which has very atomitized kind of urbanism. And the ideas were how could we reduce this space, because right in front of it is a much more green neighborhood, which I happened to be living when I was a kid. So I had a lot of memories from this place. And my idea, or the first feeling, was that this was an island of heat. We had to, our project had to kind of create a kind of a flag of the change, okay? So We also saw an opportunity as a kind of a building that was going to be a flag. This flag, because it was seen by many ring roads, okay? So a bit like the bosque, how do you call it? The bosque verticale, that you can see it from many ways. I mean, our building is much smaller, the quality of the building is much smaller and so on, but it was going to be a building that had to deal with change, okay? This idea of change, we had two simple ideas. It had to be magnetic, it had to sort of attract activity, and it had to be disruptive. Disruptive can be in many ways, but we all from the beginning started thinking of where the different activities could happen in different places. So we thought of a building much taller than that. The first part of the competition was about ideas, it was not about a solution. So these were our initial ideas, okay? Beyond that, we kind of imagine a flexible building, a building that will connect with the surrounding, and that it had integrated in it a collaborative project, and that will deal with co-working and co-living. The image that you see, or the sketch you see on the right part, is an image where our building is by the heart, and we had an idea of how to reuse the green spaces that were within the ring roads, okay? So we were making a kind of like a promenade that will link our building to the neighborhood and will create this activity. Okay, so our building was a bit away from only being the building by itself. A bit like Renzo Piano says in a few places, that the majority of the possibilities in our cities today is more on the neighborhoods on the outskirts rather than in the center of the city, okay? So we propose a building. Our building is mainly south facing and north facing. Therefore, we had to deal with the issue of heat an extreme amount of sun, if you like, and also with the issue of noise, because we were very close to a ring road. So our building what deal was, okay, we are going to sort of set back from the sun and set back from the noise. We are going to make a very long sort of gallery, and we are going to put some services in front of this gallery, okay? By using an industrialized construction system like the COT, we also wanted to make a very sort of a standard type of living where you had the rooms on the north and you have a very open sort of common space at the south. Also, you know, that space had to link with this kind of public street at different levels, okay? So the idea of this gallery again was to use very standard materials. We had the issue of the construction of the COT very clear, but we also wanted our facade to be used by déployé materials, vegetation, a green architecture, but something simple, not something over expensive. This is a social housing project, okay? As you can see right from the beginning, we use the BEAM methodology of work, which help us take a lot of decisions. So this idea of the streets in the air is not from us, it's from the Smithsons. They and us, we wanted to sort of make a happy life in these streets in the air, okay? How do we do that? Well, we were placing these boxes that you can see on the section at one part close to the internal facade and then one other to the external facade. By doing that, we were linking the life between different floors. Then the wood was going to be exposed in the floors, but then, for instance, this structure was going to be made out of steel, so it could be much faster, it would be lighter, and so, you know, we were taking a lot of decisions on how you make an architecture which is very aware of cost, but very aware of the CO2 emissions of the materials we use. Excuse me. And then when we go to the ceiling or the roof of our building, we wanted to make an ecosystem, a place where people gather at the end of work and they can, you know, we are very close to the airport, so we could enjoy a beer by looking at the planes at the end of the day. Okay, so the floors, the lower level is the level that links with the neighborhood. It's the use of different co-working spaces, a yoga space, a library, different activities which will bring activity to our building. Where you see the heart is where we make this promenade pass through our building. The first floor is a co-living space where we subdivide the architecture of the levels above by reducing the size, but also, it's above is a long stay, this is a short stay, okay? And then, as you can see, this is where we were drawing the heart. The building was creating life within itself, and also we depress the level of the ground floor, so we will have the ground floor at the level -2, so we use less concrete for the garage, and also we link with the -1 level, so if we have another pandemic, we will also be able to use the garage spaces, okay? So we are very worried in our projects about the life is going to be lived in our projects when we finish. We don't like just the final photo finish, we like the life around it. So I'm gonna describe a bit more what were the thoughts in the construction system and why we ended up using the CLT construction by Finsa. Right from the beginning, we understood that we had to use an industrialized system which will save time and money, but also we were worried about the idea of a 2D model or a 3D model. Also, the basement, the ground floor and the first floor are made of concrete, and as you are seeing, the gallery in the front is made of steel. By doing all these, together with the services of the building, where we have a thermal ring which is enclosed that help us, when we are, during the day we need energy mainly for the offices and for the co-living, and then at night we need more for the upper dwellings, okay? But also all the systems of all the services were having to reduce energy, okay? And then again, the use of BIM will help us coordinate all of these aspects, okay? If you have any questions, please interrupt me. By doing all of this, we managed to get a 76.9 reduction of CO2 emissions from a building of references. This is a miracle because we all know that it's very difficult nowadays to analyze the cycle of life. We don't have enough references, so for us it was a real challenge to how to create data that could prove this, okay? Okay, and now we are on the detail, we are about to go to construction site, and these are some of the construction drawings and, kind of like a working in progress type of explanation I will give now. Okay, so for instance, this is the gallery, we are trying to make it a light structure. This what you see is a wood ceiling that will hide the services. We want ventilation, we want life to happen all around it, and we are putting it together. Okay, so I will share with you the ideas that we had before we sort of put the building together. We had relatively small experience in construction in wood. Some of the buildings that you see, the interiors, is in Vitoria, and then these other ones are in France. We were very lucky to win a competition near Bordeaux, and there they use a lot of wood in their facades, and we use a ventilated facade for our buildings, for a social housing complex near Bordeaux. So you can see we use it in different things. It's a bridge jardin. I think wood is an amazing material that makes you fall in love with it. But then you have to be able to avoid humidity and some other things. So our building was made of, we consider sort of 5 different parts. The basement, the first 2 levels, then the levels above, which were the real living spaces, then the cores, A, and then the gallery, okay? So by, for instance, we had very clear understanding that the cores have to be in a structure, in concrete. We use a concrete which is specific, so they use less CO2 emissions. The galleries were, as I said, were made in steel, and then the dwellings were made in CLT 2D, okay? And so we are seeing how, all our worry was how we put together the building. And then, how we could explain our client, the investor, that these solutions were already in the market, because, we are talking about 2 years almost that we put this competition together, and there were not so many examples, but we see examples of, for instance, how the concrete at ground level makes sense, how the concrete at the core makes sense. And then again, this idea of, will the facade also be in wood? Will it be industrialized? We are dealing with an issue which is the cost per investment, so, the square meter, the cost of the square meter, a sustainable square meter is an issue in our project because it's social housing. So you see the issue of 2D, 3D, how does this arrive to site? Because when you are doing 3D, you are bringing air in a truck, which makes it very expensive, so that's not sustainable in a way, of course. So this issue of how the panels could be mounted, both the floors, the facade, we had a lot of conversation with Finsa about this, how that is protected on site and so on, and then how it's put on site together, because again, we had little experience on that, and how do you make the models arrive on site and make sense, and how, for instance, how you load the truck and so on. These are issues that we were thinking in our process. What we like of wood is that it's a meccano that is very beautiful, and then you have to worry about the specific details, especially the connections, the horizontal to vertical, and again, how these will arrive on the modules. How, for instance, the different modules, we have 3 typologies of the projects, which are the ones which are sort of east and west, and then the central ones, because structurally they work very differently. Okay. And again, one of the things we like about wood is that it's a very simple way of construction that you have to know very well. So we are new to this, so we wanted to make clear that we understood all the different details. And then, for instance, parts of the building which we decided to make in steel is reuse steel. We call it a scaffolding. I don't know if you know the word, but the scaffolding, when you do a construction, you normally do a scaffolding to allow you to do the works around it in a safety way. We were thinking that this could be done not only for the construction process, but also kind of like a scaffolding of life, okay? Also, with wood and so on, with green and so on. Then the facades, again, the issue of are they gonna be industrialized or not, were a heavy kind of understanding, and we proposed 3 different options: a ventilated facade made in wood, a ventilated facade, well, like this, the wood, the one we did in France, and then a ventilated facade finished in steel, on aluminium, which can be recyclable. It's a material for the most public space of the gallery, where people will not, vandalize it. We were seeing different opportunities for that, and then find how do you say satin in English? A system where you have the installation of the exterior, which is a much simpler type of architecture, which will blend in the surrounding. This was a way to somehow lower the cost. Okay. Finally, we were then thinking, okay, how do we build our module of the house? What are the different panels doing? So the internal panels were going to be made in plasterboards, but then the external panels were made of CLT. The window conditions, all of these decisions were taken at the same time. And for instance, one of the other things we like about the wood construction is that issues like the services can be mounted on the panel. So we are thinking next steps, how can we, gain time into the construction process, okay? And at the end of the day, and this is the final image, we were also thinking, okay, not all the different spaces can be wood or should be wood. Wood should be present in specific parts of the building. And we were seeing that other examples were doing that already, and we really like it. So thank you so very much.
Dagli aspetti che cominciamo anche.
Thank you, Jose, for sharing this sorry.
Cerca io.
Thank you, Jose, for sharing this interesting project with us and also your ideas. I hope that the project comes to life in the summer.
Finally.
Yes, and I hope to visit it with you so that we can profit together of the experience of being in this such nice building. Now is the turn for Andrea. Andrea is going to talk us about a project in Spain. So,
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Ignazio. Very good project.
Thank you.
We also won a project with Reinventing Cities here in Milano. It's very important project because we want to change completely Loreto Square. Do you know Loreto? It's now one of the most traffic point in Milano, and for sure Reinventing City give to us also the opportunity to change. I think it's very nice this kind of example also because in all cities in Europe now we are able also to change something. But today I want to introduce to you another kind of project, completely different. But I think it's important for the balance because I want to speak about luxury. This is a project becoming from this developer, Spain developer, very famous, Sierra Blanca. I'm also head of design of the One Atelier. The One Atelier, it's an office, big office from London, but also in Italy, that works with a lot of brands who decided to go in the real estate, also to transfer some DNA in the normal life, so living. Mm-hmm. In this case, developer choose an important brand of fashion, Karl Lagerfeld. So we speak about luxury, and Karl Lagerfeld for sure is the first time that want to transfer in the real estate owns DNA and ask it to me, to us, to the team of the One Atelier, Metrogramma and the One Atelier and joint venture in this case, to translate in elements this kind of important DNA. This was the big challenge of this project. And if someone of you know a little bit the spirit, the soul of Karl, knows also that he was very close to nature. He was one of the first luxury men that speak about sustainability. Every year he spent a lot of money for the nature, give money, because he believed in a new life also for the future. And this is also one of the most important topics of this project. We want to match what usually we speak about, also social housing for our normal life in the city. We want also transfer this kind of goals in a luxury, because it's also important, because now we have in the mind usually luxury with big car, with a lot of spending of CO2, something of this. But now start also a new culture also in the luxury lifestyle. And this project speak about this. Marbella, the project is between Marbella and Portobanus. It's amazing place. It's your country, so you know very well. But for me, it was a surprise because in this place, the nature, the landscape is really amazing because it's already also at south of Spain, and take a lot of from north of Africa. So it's a really interesting soul of nature. And we are close a line of hill, so it's also this kind of contest very interesting, not flat. It's not flat, that contest. And from the hill, this is exactly the position, the location of Malaga and Marbella and Porto Banús. We have on the left side all the plots that the Sierra Blanca are already in development, because they start with Fendi Casa. Now we are in construction, under construction with these Karl Lagerfeld villas, 5 villas, single family villas. And now they are starting also with a big project, now it's possible to say, with other brands on Dolce & Gabbana. But we want push a lot all this brand to take completely another way. This is important, sustainability, because the lifestyle is for everybody. And this is the main point of everything. So the landscape, I spoke about the landscape. Look at how many rivers, and the river are very nice inspiration, reference for our project. This is exactly what I told you before. So the context, hill are not mountain, exactly what we thinking about usually. But hill, but it's interesting, the kind of changing of nature. And exactly the point is this kind of red circle. Villas, 5 plot. The level, the plot is flat, has 25 meters of difference from north to south, not a lot. But we use this kind of sign of water because exactly close the plot stay on a river. So we use this kind of sign using to create a unique and master plan. So later we will see for sure the pools, but this kind of design of pool become from the design of the river. The river connect exactly all the 5 plots. And from this kind of sign, becoming from the nature, we design also the pool. And this kind of signs become from exactly the genius, the imaging inside the head of Karl. This kind is typical of the design of Karl. If you know Chanel, if you know, remember Fendi, but also the fashion, usually fashion of collection from Karl, it's very close, this kind of elemental signs. Strange person. He was super close with Zaha Hadid, but at the same time he loved classic, and all the classic from French or the classic from Rome. So it's strange. He want every time. He say that it's not important to have difference between the age in our history, but it's interesting to add all in the same concept, in the same thinking. Okay, so the master plan is very simple, 5 signs, and this kind of sign of river that take all the plot together. So for sure, the relationship with the nature was the first reference of the project. So we use a lot the water in order also to speak about interior design and outdoor design, and inside and outside. At the same time, we want also to match much more, to create a unique landscape without border limits from inside to outside. This is typical. This is an example. This is the water. They go inside of the house, but at the same time it's part of the pool. Pool or water like aesthetical part of the landscape. But also the floor. If you look the floor with the terrazzo is not close inside the limit of the house. And we want also to invert completely the heavy of the house. Usually you have in the ground floor the massive volume, and on the first, second floor much more light. We want to invert completely the concept, and we want to leave the ground floor completely transparent in order exactly to have this kind of matching from outside to inside. And the massive bringing on the first floor. But at the same time, we study, so this is exactly, for example, an overview of the master plan in where you can also recognize also a lot of typical love souls from becoming from cars. For example, the garden, the volumetric green became from this passion from the French garden of Carl, but at the same time also using the landscape like carpet. He loved a lot this kind of very, very designing of green, and also the color. The color are super important in the landscape. It's part, the color is part of an architecture, it's part of the interior design, it's also really important elements also in the landscape. So we use a lot of these kind of elements becoming from the DNA of Carl, and at the same time we want also to bring in the project also the spirit of the common life that Carl wanted. He liked a lot the common table in where the people stay together, speaking, drinking. So this kind of common spirit we want to bring also in a luxury life. Usually in luxury lifestyle you have everything separates, everything isolate, everything privacy, but like isolating. We want to bring all together. So this is so it's not easy also for the people they have to buy, because they have to understand also this kind of soul from becoming from car. This is another overview. You can see one of the villa. All the 5 villas are completely different. So different sign becoming from Carl sketching, but completely different. But the same how say characters, the same DNA. Following this kind of spirit, for sure we have to think about technical, completely sustainable. So from the first moment we decided to propose to the first to the brand, second to developer, and third to the municipality, because this is one of the most big problems. We don't speak a little bit about this. So I want to say ciao to Cecilia, because Cecilia is one of my partner in the one atelier in Metrogramma, is the architect that follows exactly this kind of project. And no, it's not easy also with the municipality, because sometimes they don't understand exactly the spirit with which you want to change also something in the technology. You speak about wood, but it's not so easy. But at the same time with the colleagues, because we start to speaking with the engineering team from the developer, they can't work around the wood. Okay, Ignazio know very well, remember? But this was another big problem, because we speak, we have vision about it, but before we have to change the culture. Yeah. Also in our offices, in our relationship with colleagues, with everything, university also. So this is the first renders. I want to speak about another elements. We are speaking about this kind of ground floor completely transparent, but we didn't speak about the facade. We started 3 years ago to work with one important company here in Italy, has also base in Spain, is Mirage, part of the group Atlas Concord. We study exactly ceramic, reflecting ceramic, like mirror, without color. So we study this kind of ceramic. Won also one of the most important prizes in the world now. Only Mirage has this kind of ceramic. Also this mean luxury, because now this kind of material we are using first for the villas in Marbella. And this kind of material exactly is not exactly mirror, because for Carl the importance is not exactly to reflect exactly your imaging, but some imaging of you. So not exactly, remember the old mirror from the history, not completely clear. Exactly, we want to reproduce the same with the ceramic. But the magic, it's this kind of matching, another reflection, nature outside with the building. And at the first time, I remember the owner was completely confused, because he didn't understand exactly, where he exactly, where was the point of view of him. So, Andrea, where we are exactly here? Because I can't understand. But
I'm lost.
I'm lost. But this was exactly the main point also of the result of this kind of. Okay, this is some examples, some reference. This is also for me important, because Maison Bordeaux is my first project when I worked with Rem Koolhaas, we know very well, and I was young, because it was 1991. I'm working at the construction site of the Maison Bordeaux, so I remember in my head a lot this kind of big important project. Now it's in the MoMA, is one of the most important villas over the world. Okay, this is some imaging from the model, and we add also another element important. We want that the villas are completely autonomous, completely. They don't need energy from outside, but this is possible, could be for social housing, because for sure a family spend on 3-5 kilowatt, maybe 6 kilowatt, but luxury villa with pool, with everything. So our ambition was exactly bring an autonomy also to the luxury villa. So we use also the solar panel, adding to this kind of technology completely in wood. And we hope now during the construction site that the developer don't change nothing, but the brand will control, will check everything. But this is exactly the goal of this kind of, the technical approach of this point of view. This is the landscape that I spoke before, so the 25 meters between the north to south, and this kind of sense of the river designing the pools inside the different plots. Okay, some view, because from the villas it's possible for sure look the sea. It's amazing, because the sunset in this part of Spain, it's one of the most beautiful sunsets over the world, so really amazing. And congratulations, because your country sometimes veramente surprise. This is one of the pieces in Spain that I really love a lot. And okay, we work a lot also to create a sustainable movement inside also the plot. We don't want that the people arrive with the car, close the villa. We want create an underground with some with basement with the car, but the main entrance only pedestrian. And we create also paths inside the center of the plots in order to have exactly this kind of entrance completely by walk. Okay, I go a little much more fast, but this is the imaging. So what I told before about this kind of matching green, a lot of green, a lot of nature, and houses. It's like living in a forest. with all the luxury services, but in the forest. But I don't want, we don't want put, how say, this kind of villas, this kind of house completely underground. We won't give visibility also, expression to the house. So it's not the combination typical green and building, volume and empty, in where the green cover completely the architecture. It's important that the architecture express himself also in the relationship with other volumes. So this kind of balance, volume empty, is exactly the balance nature and lifestyle. Some imaging. For sure we use also the green in part of the roof in order also to put down the temperature, because we have a glass house on the top of the roof, so for sure it's also important to control all the details, because in summer the temperature here is super high, and also, for example, some choosing becoming from, for example, for the windows, becoming exactly from this kind of relationship, sun and inside and interior, because we won't have, how say, deepness, deep balcony, not balcony, but deepness space in order to have, to don't have the directly sun inside the room. So a lot of design become from this kind of technical challenge. This is important. It's not only the design choosing, but brand principle, for example. This is important because I spoke a lot about the brand. I spoke a lot about also what the goal of the One Atelier, because was the first time that the brand want to use this kind of DNA also for real estate. So this is the translation. Sustainability for Cardi was important. Genius Loci, so the context where you are exactly. Inclusivity, I spoke about the common table, but it's also inclusivity with the nature. So in order to have also the nature inside the house. For example, he didn't like the nature inside. Mm-hmm. He don't want plants inside, green inside, but outside a lot. So how you create this kind of relationship? Bringing the point of view from inside, from inside to outside, very free, and from outside to inside, very free also. This is important. Duality, this kind of double, no? Basement and ground floor, first floor, empty and volume, but also frame. He liked a lot frame. So we're using also a lot this kind of, you know, no? In all the sketch becoming from Carl, you look at this kind of red frame at the end of the sketch of fashion, no? This is typical sign of, and we will also translate this kind of sign in real estate after you will see. So this is exactly the translation in like brand principles inside the project. So I go a little bit much more fast. Dualism, light and heavy volumes, what I told before. Dualism is also light and heavy, lowering of the ground, it's important. But dualism is also double facade, no? This is also interesting. Double, it's also double facade. We use it for the climate, but it's also important because become also from principle from car. This is what I spoke before about frames. Frame is what from the villas you look outside. So this was also important for the client because was much more easy to create exactly same villas for the 5 plots. But we convince also the developer in order to have different kind of shape, because it's important also to create 5 different kind of point view from villas to the landscape. Mm-hmm. Because we told to him that this bring much more value also for him. For sure, it's a little bit much more expensive because he have to change every time also technology, also the engineering of the wood, everything. But I think it's important. So this is lowering of the ground. This is important. This kind of continuity from inside to outside. I want just to say, because the proportion of the villa are not exactly perfectly, because usually you have in the living room much more highness. You need much more highness. But if you invert volume and you put the volume on the first floor and you have the transparency in the ground floor, usually you have this kind of proportion very bad, because you have the volume and highness in the living. So we put the villas a little bit in the press, so 60 centimeter, and we have two values important. First, it's the sun don't arrive every time, don't arrive exactly inside, and we protect them with the green, also this kind of living room part where the family life usually day by day. But at the same time, we bring a lot of privacy. Privacy, because privacy is also important for the family. So because the plots are very not close, but so it's not isolated in a green area, and so this kind of solution. But at the same time, the proportion of the building is much more beautiful. Some elements from Carl, you recognize, for example, the frame. This was one of the most beautiful sofa made from Cassina. The typical library with the horizontal book, typical from Carl. He liked a lot this kind of strange mood to put the book not in vertical like we use it, but in horizontal, and the typical area for the common discussion. So this is and terrazzo. This is part of the dualism, black and white. So we're using also from inside and outside. Okay, this is exactly the explosion from the basement, ground floor, and the level. The villa has one floor. So ground floor, one floor, and only the glass house on the top, with the panel solar covering the roof. This is exactly, you remember the pool becoming from the river, the relationship with inside, the pressure, the highness that I spoke before. Okay. This is the first villa already under construction. I say ciao also to Claudia, because the work of Claudia is very hard, because she has also to follow the construction side. It's not so easy, because it's not so easy the project, but it's not so easy also the clients. So, but I'm sure that will be an amazing result. So this is for example, what I told before about also the frame from the window. So we need this deepness also in order to don't bring the light directly inside, and we create this green frame to the villas. This is also to stop a little bit the sun and everything, in order to put everything in the class AA+. So everything in this kind of, this was the challenge. This is the roof, the glass house on the roof, some imaging, what I told before about the ceramic, the reflecting ceramic, the ground floor very transparent, the pressure, the terrazzo, this kind, the windows with this frame deepness for the green, but the connection directly visual from the library, directly from the outside, with the landscape outside, trees, a lot of nature. Also this kind of plane of reflection also with the rooftop, because we use also this kind of panel on under the rooftop, under the panel solar, because usually panel solar has only technical elements without really relationship and soul with architecture, but we want also to create this kind of soul. So it's possible to use element also, sustainable element also, to bring also value in architecture, I think. Okay, some imaging. Was terrible, for example, the discussion with town hall, because town hall don't understand the element of panel solar, because the rules speaking about pergola, it's not possible to create something like pergola, but these are not pergola, this is panel solar. How we can create sustainable building if you don't permit to create a pergola? This is, for example, one of the contradictions of this kind of, if we speak about sustainability. Okay, this is the model, I closed, sorry. This is the master plan, because the big model is already now. This is the presentation in Paris, exactly because the brand do a very, very, very important presentation. Was super proud because this project brings a lot of the soul of Carla, so it was also the one of the sign of this first operation in the real estate. So we create this big model also for them. Okay, I think it's finished, so now we can start with the discussion.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Andrea. What a project and what a challenge building this in Marbella. As I visit the village every 15 days, be sure that I will put it on my focus and I will try to visit. Yes, okay. Okay.
If you want, you can call me or Claudia, and we can, maybe if you are there, we can do a visit together.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's start with the dialogue. Even when Andrea's project is talking about luxury and when Jose project is talking about public housing, they are both linked by one simple thing, the use of wood as main structural system. And this gives us the opportunity of speaking about wood in construction sector. So absolutely. I have a first question for you, is regarding the what everybody's speaking about today, the ESG policies. Do you consider that the massive use of wood could be considered as a driver of change in the construction sector?
I mean, of course, you know, because what it doesn't make sense is that we keep working on concrete, you know, where we have to reduce the CO2 emissions. So I think, and we can see that two different scales, two different frames of work between luxury housing and luxury villas and public housing can be put at use into sustainability for sure. Yes.
Yes, I already spoke about this during the presentation, but I'm convinced myself that it's really important to push in this direction. So we have to push a lot also, but first exactly like culture. So this is important, also involve a lot the young people, the students, because for us, okay, sometimes it's difficult to change change our using by day, but for the young people it's really much more easy. But we have to push. The driver, it's the sustainability from social housing to the high level of the luxury. So for all the lifestyle.
I will add one thing. For instance, I work at the T4 in Madrid, and issues like having a wood ceiling was very important. I mean, luxury doesn't mean that you have to use the most expensive material, which is, you know, it can be contaminated or whatever. You know, like at the opposite, I think big infrastructures, luxury, are the first ones that they need to bring nature into the equation. Both the public housing, little by little, has to do it too, you know. So we are all obliged to do it.
No, exactly, because in one of the important points is also that if you use a lot of a sustainable approach, you have also to think about the money.
Is what I said before. Yes.
No, it's not so easy, because now, for example, all the Europe need a lot of houses, because we are already in the way to the disaster, because we have not house to share with the people that arrive. We have not to block the people that arrive in Europe. We have not to say stupids. So we have to offer, we are in democracy, we have to offer houses. But we need also to offer houses already, already sustainable, already in the future. Maybe reducing also the expensive. How we can do this kind of, how we can join this kind of goal. We can join this kind of goal only with the good relationship in all the process of the construction, from municipality to supplies they produce, to the people they have to build, the company they have to build, because usually they are connected to the tradition, but they can do new, they can do innovation.
But I think that's the interesting thing, for instance, of doing collaborative projects both with designers, with possibility, with people like Finsa, like understanding that when you are going to be doing this kind of goal, you are not alone. You cannot be alone. You have to be with a construction company, with industrials, with the municipality, as you said. So reaching this goal is not, we're alone, we cannot do it. No, it's the whole industry.
Yes, this is maybe one of the main stoppers, because I think that most of the players don't have the knowledge. So
Absolutely.
Started from the university and going to the developers. Yes.
90% of the
I have a question for you, but it's something you already said. But as we talk in the other round tables, and when we were designing with Jose, the project, an integrated project, we were talking with Locare, his investor. It's a real estate that has private investors, let's say, that invest on them. No, now they have the third vehicle. It's called Tectum 3, and they have 150 million euros to invest on social housing. And they always say, if sustainability is not economically viable, it won't exist. And we discussed a lot with investors in Spain, with investment funds, developers, that do you believe that bonifying sustainability, for example, more volume to build, more floors, for example, instead of penalizing, for example, no? In this first stage of what's going on in sustainability, and do you believe we will be on time? Because in 2030 the goal is zero carbon new buildings in the European Union, and we are in 2024, and
only 6 years.
There's not so much time.
And also zero concrete.
Exactly.
Much more difficult.
Exactly. And the second question is, in Spain, we need now more or less 800,000 workers, traditional workers. They won't come back. And again, we have 6 years to transform the construction industry from traditional industry to industrialized industry. Italy is similar? Andrea, this is a question for you, but
no, I think it's absolutely similar. The difference between Italy and Spain are not so big. It's much more bigger, the difference between south of Europe and north of Europe. This is unfortunately exactly the real photography of this kind of moment. Maybe I think it's really important now, the situation. For example, I mentioned about the necessity of a lot of houses, because I think this kind of topic will push a lot also about thinking about more about this kind of step more. Because it's really, really important.
Yes, in some way, I think that it is going to happen, as it has happened with many other things. I think that we should start by the positive reinforcement of the best practices, and then turning into the penalties to the worst. No? So, and at the same time, what I find is that most of the benefits of this circular economy are directing going to the final user instead of going to the developer. So maybe this could explain why it is not so attractive to invest in environmental or social or these other things, because finally you are not getting anything from your investment. No? So apart from the fact that obviously we are all part of the same world and we are going to get benefits if everything goes right.
But I don't think so. I mean, you're seeing this project. This project is based on bringing sustainability in a beautiful, sensible way, you know. So, okay, the final buyer is getting that, but the way that the developer, by betting on this, he will get probably a more expensive land to do an extra project like this. Our developer on accessible living, by identifying itself to sustainability, is getting into that. What is true is, for instance, is much more different when it's a house that you buy than a house that you rent on social housing, because on the house that you buy, you are, as a buyer, you are like if you buy a Tesla or whichever car that is very light. When you are renting, is what you said before, our goal is bringing this to all the parts, all the scales of the society. So both is very difficult to bring this. I mean, I think if we were not always so demanded within money, the issue of sustainability, we all are happy. We all believe in that nowadays, So it doesn't depend on the final buyer or the developer. The developer needs extras, because the developer is not a priest or is not a nun. He's obliged to make money. I mean, I'm sure that your developer, when you were talking about sustainable issues, were saying, why is this an identifier? And maybe you could talk about that. No?
Exactly. We convince exactly our client to go on with this kind of strategy, because when they present the project in Marbella, one of the Arabic men buy immediately for $50 million one of the villas. So we immediately convince himself.
We are in the right way.
No, what I want to say, it's really important, for example, because all the Europe, now we have the election, I think, and during this kind of new period of this kind of political they will represent us in Europe, have to thinking about experimental strategy in each country. So they have to dedicate a little bit also part of the interest money and something like this to create a special experimental area in where also
we can work all together.
In where we can work and we can improve all the technology, also in order to control also much more the expensive. So in order also to give much more solutions also to the quotidianity, so the day by day. So I think this part of a new deal of this kind of topics of sustainability. I think this will be one of the necessity much more important for the new government of Europe.
Okay, yes, to end with the use of wood, I would like to ask you if you don't think that right now we are using it more from an emotion point of view, more than a scientific point of view, as it was I would say the medicine for all the illness or disease in relationship with environmental problems.
Does it matter? I'm asking the Galician way. No, I think at the end of the day, whether it's emotional or whether it's technical, it's right in both ways. What is true is that wood is not always the solution. No, I mean, we did a competition, and there were 5 different systems that there were. Well, at the beginning there were 8. Together with Finsa, we got second, and the priority then was industrialization. Okay, it was not CO2 consumption. I think the goal cannot be wood for wood. It needs to be wood as a solution where it's an identifier, and it's something that is, in the way that you were saying before, in Europe we need to think more and more in common. The whole of south of Europe has a similar climate, so what is good in Italy is good in Spain, and it's good in Portugal.
Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly, because,
Basically.
for instance, passive house it was a northern practice, and now it's translated into South Europe. So what I think is, wood cannot always be the solution for everything, because, it doesn't need to be, and I love the use of wood. I love it in the finishes and so on, but it's crazy that now we are using, for instance, ceramic floors that look like wood and wood that looks like ceramics, but we are reinventing things, and this is what is good about the human person, like a luxury project is taking the tile, and you're bringing the mirror effect, and this idea of, that's all to do with intimacy, because reflection of the sun. Marbella has one of the most beautiful sunsets. I can imagine these houses, when the orange comes into them, it's going to be like gloom, So by reinventing materials, by using all the materials that we're seeing here, at the end of the day, you learn that in a way you cannot be crazy. In the 60s we were crazy about concrete. Before that we were using wood for everything, and then wood for nothing. You go to the Duomo, the stone, it's beautiful. I don't, as architects, we are obliged not to think only on one system, no? I think.
Never to say. I agree completely. Sorry. Completely.
Okay, so let's finish with the role of the public administration. Because and now it's your turn, Andrea.
It's our war, It's not only my war.
No. I just said because I can imagine in Spain, for instance,
yes,
for the first part of the project,
it's the real war that we need.
No, but what I mean is that, for instance, in a project like that, I'm sure in Marbella, in Spain, I think in similar ways in Italy, the urbanism is always a square. It needs to be one like the other. You have been working in Bordeaux, I've been working in Bordeaux too. It's crazy that what is beautiful is that there is urbanism is more about setback, about letting light and so on. So it's a more comprehensible way. If we all do square things, we will never build different environments like Breda, like industrial, mixed with something. The opportunities are when you don't have a mono urbanism. But back to public administrations, at the end of the day, we are working in the master plan of Zaha Hadid. Zaha Hadid did a beautiful master plan for Bilbao, all different, all moving and so on. The public institutions are going like, no, it has to be like that, come on, that wasn't the idea of Zaha. The idea of Zaha was about movement and so on, but they need to be able, it's like taxes. You gain 10, you're taxed for 2, they need to be very clear. And with the issues of sustainability, for instance, it's difficult because, again, everybody's bringing kind of new systems, so it's difficult for them to say, approved system, we don't have enough buildings made on CLT construction that can be put to test, So, I think it's difficult for them to, we designers, we are much freer. We have to the client, we have the public institutions, but the public institutions is like they get everything, like a boom, 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 like the people coming from outside to help us work and so on. They have to resolve this problem, but they have bigger problem than us too, so it's not easy either.
Yes, I usually say that I don't want them to be a driver, but at the same time I don't want them to be a stopper.
Yeah.
So, and this is the key. Yes. So, okay. Thank you very much. Let me finish because I think that we have already run out of time. By expressing my gratitude to Jose and Andreas. It's been incredible to see what you are doing nowadays. Also to say thank you again to Finsa for inviting us. For always thank you to our public here, but also on the net. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Devo raccontarmi a tutti, però vai adesso tu.
Everything is okay?
Yes.
For tomorrow?
For tomorrow,